On the broadcast tonight, a police shooting in the capital leaves one man dead. Plus, officers discovered the body of a Caucasian male while responding to a fire at condos in western New Providence. Petty politics aside, a former PLP MP says it's time for his party to rebuild and the minister administration to focus on creating jobs. And the education minister gives his first address to BTVI graduates.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
I'm Andrew Knowles. A high-speed chase that ended in a shootout between two suspects and police has left one man dead while the other is on the run tonight. Police say the incident began to unfold shortly after 3 this afternoon as officers were conducting a search of a vehicle on Shrimp Road, that's off Carmichael Road. That's when one of the officers saw a Honda Stream pass by and became suspicious as to what he saw inside.
One of the alert officers observed a high-powered weapon in the vehicle. The officers beckoned to the vehicle to stop. They refused. A chase ensued, during which time the officers followed through several areas in the Carmichael that ended here in the Pride Estates area, where the suspects, they crashed into a fence. They alighted the vehicle, came out with a high-powered assault rifle and a handgun. They opened fire on the officers. The officers, in turn, returned fire, fatally shooting one of the suspects. One of the suspects was able to escape.
Now, police were able to recover the high-powered assault weapon with ammunition from the vehicle, which Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean said was stolen. As police conducted their investigations in the area, Her Majesty's Coroner Janine Weish Gomez also was on the scene to carry out her inspections. And because of the great work of officers, Dean believes that they may have been able to avert another incident from happening.
Had this weapon get on the street, we don't know what these fellows might have been involved in today. I believe, we have stopped several murders. We have prevented several murders because of this. But we need to commend our officers because our officers are under danger. They leave home on a daily basis, leave their family, leave their young ones, their wives, and their husbands, and they come to this not knowing if they're going to return. But we thank God that none of the officers lost their life.
Now, Dean says officers are on a manhunt tonight to find the remaining suspect and had this message for him.
Turn yourself in immediately.
The lacerations to both wrists in a condo on West Bay Street this morning. Police received reports of a fire at the condo shortly before 9 a.m. Saturday, and when they arrived on the scene, they met smoke emanating from one of the condos. Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean says when officers from the fire department attempted to get inside, they had a huge challenge.
It appears that it was strategic that they couldn't get in. They had to force themselves inside. Once they get inside, they were able to extinguish the fire. And on examination, they met the lifeless body of a male, a Caucasian male lying on the floor in the building. On examination of the male, we find lacerations to the two wrists, injuries to the two wrists.
Although details are still a bit sketchy, Dean would not say whether this incident was an apparent suicide. However, he did say that the victim appeared to be a resident of the complex. Now, as police carried out their investigations, some residents were not too pleased with the media's presence at the scene. Dean says police will continue to actively investigate.
We don't know what occurred as yet. We want to find out what the motive of how the male got injuries to himself and how the fire has started. So our fire department experts are on the ground investigating, along with our detective from the CDU are investigating this matter.
Also from the crime beat, a female is in police custody after the seizure of nearly 1,000 rounds of ammunition for an assortment of high-powered weapons from a Cowpen Road home last evening. And now officers are on the hunt for the male occupant of the home.
Shortly before 7 last night, police, our officers from our selective enforcement team, acting on information, went to a home of Cowpen Road, where they executed a search warrant for firearms and drugs. During the search of the residence, the police uncovered almost 1,000 rounds of ammunition for assortment of high-powered weapons. Police are actively investigating this matter.
Dean says police will continue their aggressive approach and even intensify their search on the road to rid the streets of illegal firearms, ammunition, and dangerous drugs. He credits their success so far to the public's assistance and again appealed for them to continue providing police with information.
Because we believe that most of our crimes, had not been for firearms, our crime rate would be down. But we believe that we are on the right track, being consistent with the Commissioner's policing policy. So we intend to assure members of the public that we will aggressively search these criminals out there who are trading in firearms, who are trading in ammunition. We will seek them out, but we are happy what we are getting from members of the public who are supplying us with information. We are asking members of the public, all of us have this Bahamas to live in, we are asking you to please give us the information and we will find those persons responsible.
In other news tonight, more than a week after the Progressive Liberal Party suffered a crushing defeat at the polls, former Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller says it's now time to move past the petty politics and focus on rebuilding the country. Miller says the biggest issue facing the new administration is unemployment. Our Jasmine Brown spoke with the outspoken former MP and has the details in this report.
And I already told the PM that he got a hell of a lot of work to do with creating jobs in this country.
According to national unemployment statistics released last December, unemployment stands at 11.6%. Miller says with thousands of Bahamians out of work, it is clear that something needs to be done immediately. The former PLP MP who supported Minnis when he faced a leadership challenge last summer says if Minnis wants to cement his legacy as a man for the people, he must employ Bahamians.
The biggest problem that this government faces in this country today, creating jobs for women. Women who have kids, whose boyfriends or what have you have neglected them and the children. And in my constituency that I had the honor of representing for those years in Parliament, the biggest problem in this country by far are the women who need those jobs. That means the government department is going to have to look at taking a new course with giving preference to Bahamian-made products, producing entrepreneurs in this country. This 5 years should be about economic empowerment of the majority of the masses in this country, giving them an opportunity to become involved in the economic life of our country in a tangible and meaningful way. That to me is the most task, but the number one priority must be job creation in this country. If you don't create those jobs, enable these people to earn a decent living, to sustain themselves, you'll be gone.
Miller admits job creation was one of the issues that his party failed to effectively address. He believes that was one of the reasons they were defeated at the polls. As for those who are dwelling on the PLP's election defeat, Miller says it's time to move past that and get on with the work of the country.
Listen, life goes on. So let us just do our jobs, all of us collectively, and try to make a better country for those of us who need the help.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And we'll take a break here, but still ahead, the lone woman Progressive Liberal Party MP and the first female leader of the opposition both weigh in on women in politics. That story and more when our news returns.